"All right, Liam, you're up next," the announcer said. I nodded, gripping the prototype like it was the only thing keeping me standing. My palms were sweating. The crowd of students and professors stared. I cleared my throat. "This," said, setting the device on the table, "is a portable energy unit. It can power small appliances for up to a loud laugh cut through my words." Marcus, he sat in the front row, leaning back in his chair, shaking his head. "Man, you actually brought that thing?" A ripple of chuckles followed. Someone whispered, "Looks like a lunchbox." I kept going. "It can store enough power for emergency." Sienna looked down at her phone. She didn't even glance at me. Marcus raised his hand. "Yeah, quick question. Does it also make toast?" More laughter. Even a professor smiled. My chest tightened. I forced a grin. "It's not for cooking. It's for..." He leaned forward. "No, but seriously, Liam. Why would anyone carry that around when we have power banks that fit in a pocket?" "I'll explain that in..." "You've been talking about this for years," he said. "And this is it? This is your big game changer?" Few people laughed again. I caught one guy filming with his phone. I swallowed. "It's not finished." "Oh, it's finished. All right," Marcus muttered. The room blurred for a second. I sped through the rest of the demo, barely hearing my own voice. My words felt like they were bouncing off walls and falling to the floor. When I wrapped up, there was polite applause. Not loud, not warm. I packed the device into my bag. Marcus met me by the exit. "Hey man, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just saying, it's a nice toy, but no one's gonna buy it." I stared at him. "You didn't have to do that in front of everyone." He shrugged. "Better to hear it now than waste more time." Sienna walked over, still holding her phone. "Good job," she said quickly, then turned to Marcus. "Do you ready?" "Yeah," he said, and they walked out together. I didn't move for a while. My hands were still shaking. That night I sat in my apartment, the prototype on the table. I called Sienna. She answered after a few rings. "Hey," I said, quietly. "You didn't think it was that bad, right?" She paused. "Liam, people laughed." I didn't know what to say. You could have backed me up. I didn't want to make it worse. I clenched my jaw. "Marcus didn't have to. He's just honest," she said. "And maybe he's right. It's not practical." "Used to say it was brilliant." I said it had potential.
Ow.
"There's a difference." The silence dragged. "Are you embarrassed to be with me?" I asked. "No, it's not that," she said. But her voice was too soft, too careful. I think we want different things." My chest sank. "So that's it?" "I think so." She exhaled. "I'm sorry, Liam." I hung up without saying goodbye. The next day, I met Marcus outside the cafeteria. "You talked to Sienna?" I asked. He looked confused. "Yeah. Why?" "She broke up with me." He frowned slightly. "Sorry to hear that." I narrowed my eyes. "You wouldn't happen to. She's a grown woman," he said, smirking. "If she left, maybe it's not just about last night." I felt heat rising in my neck. "You humiliated me, Marcus." He crossed his arms. "You humiliated yourself." I just said what everyone was thinking. I wanted to punch him. Instead, I walked away. That evening, Mom called. "How was the expo?" she asked, voice full of hope. I hesitated. "It went fine." "Did people like it?" "They liked it." She sighed in relief. "I knew they would." "You've worked so hard, Liam. I'm proud of you." I stared at the floor. "Thanks, Mom." When I hung up, the apartment was silent. Too silent. I took the prototype out of my bag. Scratches on its surface caught the light. I remembered Marcus's smirk, Sienna's downturned eyes, the way. The laughter felt like it had carved into my bones. And for the first time, I wondered if they were right. But I didn't throw it away. I just sat there, staring at it, replaying every laugh in my head until it became the only sound I could hear. I was halfway through reheating leftovers when my phone buzzed. "Sienna, can we talk?" I almost ignored it, but my fingers typed back. "Sure." She showed up an hour later, the coat still buttoned, hair damp from the rain. "I've been thinking a lot," she began, avoiding my eyes. "That sounds bad," I said, setting my fork down. I just don't see a future with us." My stomach dropped. "Because of the expo?" It's not just that. Then what? She hesitated. I've started seeing someone else. I laughed once, bitter Marcus. Her silence was the answer. I pushed back from the table. You could have told me before the expo, or after. Or any time you weren't. I didn't plan it, she cut in. It just happened. I stared at her. You were with him when? You were with me, she swallowed. Liam, you're always working on something that doesn't pay. I need stability, and Marcus gives you that. He's different. Driven, I almost choked. Driven, he sells other people's ideas. She flinched. At least he sells something. Step back, hands shaking. You know what? Go. Be with him. But don't come back when you realize he's not half the man you think he is. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then turned and left. The warehouse was loud, that night machines clanging, boxes slamming onto pallets, but my head was louder. During break, I sat with a paper cup of coffee, staring at the floor. A guy I barely knew dropped into the seat across from me. You look like you just buried a pet. I looked up. Something like that. Name's Jared, he said, extending a hand. Liam. So what's your deal? You always look like you're somewhere else. I build things, I said. Tech stuff. He grinned. Like robots. It's more like energy devices. Sounds important. Why are you working here? I smirked. Because important doesn't mean profitable, he laughed. Fair enough. Still, if you've got something, don't let this place kill it. I sipped my coffee. You sound like you've been here too long. For years, he said. And yeah, it eats you if you let it. By midnight, I was home again. My phone had 5 unread messages. Mom, how are you eating? You sound tired on the phone. Mom, Liam, please don't skip meals. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Hi, sweetheart. How was your day? Busy, you're eating, right? Yeah, I lied. She sighed. I just worry. Ever since the expo, it's fine, Mom. Really? You'd tell me if it wasn't? I would, I said, knowing I wouldn't. All right, she said softly. I'm proud of you, you know. My throat tightened. Thanks, Mom. We hung up. I stared at the prototype on my desk. The paint was chipped, one corner dented from the expo. I ran my fingers along its edges. They'll see, I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I believed it. 2 nights later, Jared found me in the break room again. You always look like you're solving the world's problems in your head, he said. Maybe I am. He leaned back. So, what's this invention of yours? Portable energy storage? Small, powerful, reliable? He raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a game changer. That's what I thought. What happened? Everyone laughed. Snorted. So, people laughed at the first cars too. It's different. No, it's the same. Either you quit, or you prove them wrong. I stared at him. Why do you care? Because I've seen guys waste their lives here. You don't look like one of them. I almost smiled. You don't know me? Maybe not, he said, standing. But I know quitting when I see it. That night, I opened the prototype. Again, the circuits looked messy, the wiring uneven, but it was still mine. I thought about Sienna's words. Need stability, and Marcus's smirk. Maybe they were right about me. Or maybe they were the reason I'd prove them wrong. Either way, I wasn't done yet. The warehouse smelled like burnt oil and damp cardboard that morning. I was elbow deep in a busted conveyor motor when Jared wandered over. You always volunteer for the broken stuff? He asked. I like figuring things out. Then I've got someone you need to meet? I wiped my hands on a rag. What's this about? Guy's name is Harlan. Used to be an engineer back when tech wasn't all software. Runs a repair shop 2 blocks from here. I raised an eyebrow. Why would I meet him? Because you're wasting your brain fixing this dinosaur for minimum wage. Come after shift. You'll see. That evening we stepped into a cramped shop filled with old radios, fans, and machines I couldn't name. An older man with a beard like steel wool sat behind the counter, soldering something. Harlan, Jared called. Got someone for you to meet. The man looked up. If he's selling me insurance, I'm not interested. I smirked. Not here to sell anything. Jared nudged me. Show him. I hesitated, then pulled my prototype from my backpack and set it on the counter. Harlan stared at it for a long moment, then flipped it around. What's it do? Portable energy storage, compact, reliable, can power small devices for hours? He pressed a button. The light blinked. You can laugh, I said. Everyone else does. Didn't smile. Why would I laugh? It's functional. It's ugly as hell, but functional. That made me blink. You think it works? I know it works, but it's inefficient. Your circuitry's sloppy and you're bleeding power on the voltage conversion. I leaned closer. You actually know what you're looking at. He snorted. Kid, I was building power modules before you were born. You've got potential, but this thing's not ready for the market. For the first time in months, my chest felt lighter. So you think it's worth improving? He shrugged. If you're willing to work. We moved to the back where shelves were stacked with tools and spare parts. This is my shop, Harlan said. I fix junk for people who can't afford new stuff. It pays the bills. It's impressive, he corrected. But it works. I could give you a bench here. Use my tools. In return, you'll help with repairs. Deal. I frowned. Just like that. Expect me to charge you rent? Kind of. He shook his head. I'm not interested in your money. I'm interested in whether you're serious? Jared grinned. Told you he wasn't like the others. I ran a hand over the workbench. When can I start? Tomorrow. Bring your brain and your patience. The next day after work, I showed up with my backpack and the prototype. Harlan was already there, working on a toaster. First rule, he said without looking up. Don't work like you're in a rush. The faster you go, the more you mess up. Got it. Second rule, don't get attached to your mistakes. If something's wrong, fix it. Don't defend it. I smirked. Sounds like life advice. He finally looked at me. It is. We worked in silence for an hour, me disassembling an old vacuum, while Harlan kept an eye on my hands. You're precise, he said finally, but you hesitate. I like to be sure before I commit. Sure's good. Slow isn't. Learn the difference. I nodded. So what would you change on my design first? Your voltage regulator's ancient. Swap it for a modern high-efficiency chip. Then, clean your wiring. It looks like spaghetti in there. I laughed under my breath. That's fair. I ditched that casing. No one buys something that looks like a lunchbox. That one hurts, I said, smiling for real. He grinned back. Good. Means you'll remember it. By the third day, I was staying until the shop closed. Jared stopped by once, leaning in the doorway. So, still think I was wasting your time? Not even close, I said, tightening a screw. Harlan muttered, You'd have been wasting your life without this. I glanced at him. You don't even know me. I know enough. You're the kind of guy who either quits too soon or changes the game. We'll see which one. That stuck with me all night. The following week, I'd already rebuilt half the prototype. The circuits were cleaner, power output steadier. Harlan examined it and gave a single nod. Better. Not good enough yet. Then I'll keep going. Smirked. That's the right answer. When I left the shop that night, the air felt different. The streets were still cracked, the warehouse still waiting for me in the morning. But for the first time since the expo, I didn't feel like I was moving backward. A door had opened, and I was already stepping through. You're here early again, Claire said, her voice muffled under the hum of the soldering iron. Yeah, I muttered, adjusting the circuit. Couldn't sleep. You ever sleep? Sometimes. I gave her a half smile. It's mostly when I pass out at this table. Claire set a tray of tiny screws beside me. Normal people do this for a hobby. It's like you're training for the Olympics of overwork. Normal people don't. Have something to prove. Who are you trying to prove it to? She asked, leaning on the bench. Doesn't matter. I tightened a connector, watching the blue light flicker on. As long as I win, they'll know. Claire eyed the glowing circuit. It's working now? For now. I tapped it lightly. Give it a week, it'll either be a breakthrough or another expensive paperweight. Your version of optimism is bleak, she chuckled, pulling her stool closer. Harlan says you're selling stuff online now? Custom boards, small repairs, eh? Few prototypes, enough to keep the lights on and buy better tools. Any big clients yet? I shook my head. Not yet. But I'm close. She grinned. You've been saying that for 2 years? 2 years is nothing, I said. Some people waste decades talking about what they'll do. I'm doing it. Claire fiddled with a loose wire. And the mystery people you won't talk about, Tar, they watching? I don't care if they are. She said, smirking. Totally believable. I mean it, I insisted. It don't matter anymore, right? And I'm secretly a billionaire. I sighed. Claire, fine. No personal questions. What if you ever decide to spill? I'm excellent at keeping secrets. Noted, I said, forcing a grin. We worked in silence for a while. The only sounds were the click of tools and the low buzz of the shop lights. My hands moved without thinking. Strip, solder, test, repeat. Calluses had built up so much I barely felt the heat anymore. You eat yet? She asked suddenly. Counts. Coffee doesn't count. She tossed me a granola bar. I caught it midair. Thanks. Don't thank me, she said. Just don't collapse. Harlan likes you, but he's not going to scrape you off the floor if you starve. Good to know. Claire tilted her head. You ever take a break? Go outside? Talk to people? I talk to you. That's sad, but also kind of flattering. I chuckled. I don't need distractions right now. Or maybe you're afraid of them. I froze, the wire cutter in my hand. Afraid? Yeah, afraid that if you look away from your work for 5 seconds, you'll have to think about whatever you're running from. I'm not running, I said flatly. She gave me a knowing look, but didn't push. The day passed in a blurters, packed, boards tested. A few customers helped. When Claire left, I stayed behind, the shop bathed in the warm glow of the desk lamp. It was past midnight when I finally leaned back, rubbing my eyes. My laptop sat in the corner, its screen still open from earlier. For some reason, my fingers moved before my brain could stop them. I typed his name. Marcus. His LinkedIn profile loaded in seconds. Same smug smile, same confident stance. Only now, the title under his name read, Head of Product Development, Nextline Technologies. My stomach tightened. Not because of jealousy, not exactly. It was something sharper. Head of Product Development, I muttered under my breath. So you're moving up. The page boasted achievements, partnerships, glowing recommendations. Every line felt like a challenge. I sat there, staring, until my jaw ached from how hard I was clenching it. You're getting close, I whispered to myself. And so am I. Next morning, Claire walked in to find me already at the bench. You sleep here or something? She asked. Maybe. She looked at me carefully. Something's different. What happened? Nothing, lie. I smirked faintly. Let's just say I have extra motivation now, Claire. Arched an eyebrow. Should I be concerned? Only if you're rooting. For the other side? She laughed. I don't even know what game you're playing. Good, I said, reaching for a spool of copper wire. You'll find out when I win. I'm telling you, Liam, the pre-order page is going to crash, Amira said, tapping her pen against the desk. That's a good problem to have, I replied, though my stomach felt like a tight coil. Is the press release ready? She smirked. Scheduled for 8 a.m. sharp. Bold headline, killer tagline, and just enough mystery to make them dig. Investors will eat it up. From the corner, Harlan grunted. You better make sure your product eats first. Press won't mean a thing if it fails in someone's hands. It won't fail, I said. You've said that before, he reminded. Me? But I caught the ghost of a smile under his beard. Amira leaned forward. You sound calm, but your legs bouncing like you're at a rock concert. Be honest, are you ready? I exhaled. 3 years of sleepless nights, burnt-out boards. And about 40 near-heart attacks? Yeah, I'm ready. Good, she said. Because once this thing goes live, you're not the guy fixing wires in a dusty shop anymore. You're the face of Clark Dynamics. That sounds terrifying, I said. Terrifying cells, she shot back. The countdown on my laptop hit. 0. Amira clicked a key, and we're live. We stared at the screen. One order popped up, then another. Then the numbers jumped like they were on fast forward. Holy, she started. Language, Harlan muttered. I couldn't stop grinning. 48 seconds in and we've sold 20 units. She refreshed the page. 120. Oh my God, 200. My phone buzzed with email notifications. Subject line screamed, investor inquiry, media request, partnership proposal. Amira shoved her chair back. I need coffee. This is going to be a day. Harlan stood, crossing his arms. Not bad, kid. Not bad. I laughed. We're selling out. You're doing what you should have done years ago, he said. About damn time. 2 hours later, the store page showed sold out in bold red letters. Amira burst back in, holding her phone like it was a trophy. Tech Today wants an exclusive interview. Wired 2. Oh, and a podcast called Inventor's Grind, which sounds terrible, but apparently has 1 million listeners. I'm not doing interviews yet, I said. She frowned. What? Why? Because the people who need to hear about this, they'll hear without me saying a word. Her eyes narrowed. This is about Marcus, isn't it? I shrugged. Maybe. Maybe it's about everyone who thought I was a joke. Harlan chuckled. Petty revenge can be a fine motivator, as long as you build something worth the spite. I think I did, I said, glancing at the sales dashboard again. By late afternoon, the inbox was a war zone of opportunity. Amira read through the top emails, her voice crisp. Vanguard Capital, Northbridge Ventures. A guy named Theo who claims to have been instrumental in Tesla's early days. Do you want me to respond? Not yet, I said. Not yet, she repeated, incredulous. Do you know how many founders would sell their left arm to get even one of these emails? I'm not desperate, I said. We've got revenue. We've got demand. I want the right investor, not the first one to wave a check. She smirked. You're either a genius or an idiot. We'll see which by next quarter. When the sun went down, Harlan left with a rare pat on my shoulder. 15%, I reminded him. I didn't forget, he said. Make me regret it. Amira gathered her bag. You're staying late, aren't you? Probably. She tilted her head. Don't spend all night staring at numbers. You've already won today. When the door clicked shut behind her, the shop was quiet except for the hum of my computer. I sat back in my chair. The glow from the screen painting the walls in soft light. I thought about posting on LinkedIn, maybe a slick announcement about Clark Dynamics' sold-out launch, but no. I wanted the news to travel on its own. I wanted Marcus to hear it secondhand, maybe from a smug colleague who'd say, hey, didn't you used to know this guy? I opened his profile anyway. Same smug headshot, same inflated job title, head of product development. I wondered if he'd seen my name today. The thought made me smile, small, but real. An unread email caught my eye. Subject. From a fan? I clicked. I just wanted to say your product is the first thing in years that's actually made my work easier. You probably don't read these, but thank you. I sat there for a moment, staring at the words. 3 years ago, I was a punchline. Now strangers were thanking me. The fire in my chest wasn't anger anymore. It was something sharper, cleaner-like. The edge of a blade I'd spent years sharpening. I closed my laptop. Tomorrow would bring interviews, negotiations, and 1,000 decisions I'd never faced before. But tonight I had silence, and for once, it felt like victory. Noah stepped into my office holding a printout. You're going to want to see this? I looked up from the schematic on my desk.
Bad news.
Or stupid news. Depends on your mood, he said, placing the paper in front of me. Email from Marcus Green. I read the first line out loud, my voice flat. Hey Liam, hope you've been well. My team at Nova Edge would love to explore collaboration. I dropped the paper and leaned back. It's 3 years of silence, and that's what he leads with. Noah raised an eyebrow. You going to answer? Not yet, I said, tapping my pen against the desk. Let him sweat. Claire poked her head in. Also, this just came in. She handed me her tablet. I read the subject line. Coffee. It's been too long. Sender. Sienna. She has nerve, I muttered. Claire smirked. Want me to delete it? No, I said slowly. I want you to reply to both. Set up meetings. Separate days. Her eyes lit with mischief. This is going to be fun. 2 days later, Marcus walked into our downtown office like he belonged there. Expensive suit, polished shoes, Same fake smile? Liam, he said, opening his arms. Man, it's been forever. I didn't move from my chair, Marcus. He sat without asking. Listen, your product launch was impressive. Sold out in 2 days? You've really leveled up. I tilted my head. Funny, last time we spoke, you called it a toy. He chuckled like it was all water under the bridge. Well, I was wrong. And I think we could help each other now. Novage's distribution channels, no? He blinked. No? It's my answer, I said. We're not collaborating. We're competitors now. His jaw tightened. Liam, this is business. No hard feelings. Oh, I don't feel anything, I said. But you should know when you stole my concept, I learned something. I don't need your help. I never did. Marcus's smile faltered. You think I don't think I cut in? I know, he stood. You're making a mistake. Maybe, I said, leaning back, but it won't be the first or the last. Noah stepped in from the hall, his presence quiet but solid. I'll walk you out. Alcus left without another word. 2 days after that, Sienna arrived. She still had the same perfect hair, the same perfume, the same calculated sweetness in her smile. Liam, she said softly, it's really good to see you. I motioned for her to sit. You wanted coffee? This is your moment, she glanced. Around the office? You've done well for yourself. I worked for it, I said. She folded her hands on the table. I know things ended badly. I wasn't the best person back then. It's accurate, I said. When I saw the news about your launch, I thought maybe we could talk. Start over. I stared at her for a long moment. Why? Her smile faltered. 'Cause I miss my friend. No, I said. You miss what you think you can get from me. She bristled. It's not fair. It's exactly fair. You didn't check on me when I was living in a back room soldering boards until my hands shook. You didn't call when I was running prototypes out of a storage unit. But now that I have an office with glass walls and a staff, here you are. Her voice dropped. I made mistakes. So did I said. Like trusting you. She looked down at her coffee. You've changed. Good, I said. I didn't survive all that just to be the same man you left. She stood. Guess that's my answer, yeah, I said. It is. Noah met her at the door. This time, she didn't look back. Later that evening, I sat in my office, with the city lights spilling through the window. Claire knocked gently before stepping in. That was satisfying, she said. It wasn't revenge, I said. It was closure. You didn't enjoy it at all, she asked, smirking. I let out a small laugh. Maybe a little. Noah appeared. In the doorway? You want me to block their emails? No, I said. Let them watch from the sidelines. Claire grinned. You're cold. I'm focused, I corrected. And focus built this place. We sat in a comfortable silence. For a moment before Claire asked, what's next? I looked back at the schematics on my desk. Bigger launch, bigger reach, something they can't even dream of catching. Noah nodded. Then we'd better get back to work. Tomorrow, I said, leaning back. Tonight, I'm just going to enjoy this. And I did. Noah poked his head into my office. They're here. I leaned back in my chair. Both of them. Marcus first. Sienna came with him. He smirked. Do you want me to sit in? No, I said, straightening my cufflinks. I want this personal. When they walked in, Marcus had that same fake swagger I remembered. Liam, right? Thanks for meeting us on short notice. I didn't offer a handshake. You've got 15 minutes. He laughed like we were old friends. Straight to business. I like that. He pulled a thin folder from his bag. I've been developing this concept. It's innovative, scalable, vague. I cut in. He blinked. I was getting there. See, the market's shifting. People want efficiency. They want Dave. Wanted that for years, I said. What's your actual product? Still in early stages, he admitted, glancing at Sienna. She didn't speak. Her eyes kept drifting to my watch, to the framed contracts on my wall, to the skyline behind me. Your pre-revenue, I asked. Technically, Marcus said, forcing a grin. That's why we're here. We think your team could provide the infrastructure. You've got resources, We've got vision. You've got a concept scribbled on paper. I let the silence stretch. Sienna shifted in her seat. It's more than scribbles, she said softly. I met her eyes. Now you've barely said a word. Until now, I'm here to support Marcus, she said quickly. He's selling air, I finished. You're here because you need me. Marcus leaned forward. We're offering partnership, mutual benefit. Is that what you call it? I asked, tilting my head. Because from where I'm sitting, this sounds like a bailout. His smile faltered. We wouldn't call it. That I would. He tried to recover. Look, we've both grown since before. I think if we can put the past aside, why would I do that? Marcus froze. Because this is business, not personal. I let out a low laugh. Marcus, it's always personal. Sienna's gaze darted to me, then to Marcus. What's going on? Didn't he tell you whose office this is? I asked her. She frowned. You're the CEO. The owner, I said. Clark Dynamics is mine. Every desk you walked past, mine. Every project in motion. Right. The color drained from her face. Marcus laughed nervously. Wait, so you came here thinking you were pitching to some middle manager? I said. But you're under my roof. His voice cracked. That's well unexpected. I've got more surprises, I said, sliding a document across the table. This is the merger agreement you'll be signing if you want your company to survive the month. He skimmed it, his hands tightening. You want full control? Not want, I said. You'll keep your titles purely decorative. Every decision goes through me. Sienna's voice was barely above a whisper. So we work for. You work for me now, I said. Marcus forced a laugh again. This is a bit extreme, don't you think? No, I said simply. I think it's justice. He leaned back, shaking his head. Man, you've changed. I had to, I replied. You taught me that. Sienna finally looked me in the eyes. Is this about revenge? I smiled. It's about balance. Marcus slapped the folder. Shut. We could walk out right now. You could, I agreed. And by tomorrow, every investor you've ever met will know you turned down the only lifeline you had left. Silence. Sienna's voice trembled. You'd really do that? You already know the answer? Marcus rubbed his temples. All right, let's say we sign. What then? Then you do what I tell you. You show up, you work, you rebuild under my name. Emmy, maybe if you're useful, you get to keep your office. He glanced at Sienna, then back at me. You're serious? Completely. He exhaled sharply. Fine. Send us the final draft. It's already in your inbox, I said. Noah will walk you out. They stood slowly, neither meeting. My eyes as Marcus reached the door, I called out, Oh, and Marcus. He turned. Next time, come with more than a scribble. His jaw tightened. Noted. Sienna lingered for half a second longer, then followed him out. When the door closed, I let the quiet settle. The same office they'd walked into thinking they owned the room was the one they'd just left, knowing they'd lost it. I leaned back in my chair, savoring the moment. This was mine now, every piece of it. Marcus leaned into my office doorway. Holding a folder like it was gold. Got that report you wanted? He said, smiling too wide. I didn't look up from my laptop. Which one? The ER competitor analysis you asked me to compile market trends for. Ah, right. I reached out, took the folder, and set it aside without opening it. Good, now I need you to draft a 5-page proposal on how we can reduce our paper usage by 50%. His smile faltered. Paper usage? Yes, I said evenly. Sustainability initiative. Critical for our public image. Use charts. Make it persuasive. He nodded slowly. Sure. Anything else? Due by 3. I glanced at the clock. It was 12:15. When he left, Sienna slipped in. She didn't sit. Richardson call at 2. Anything you want me to tell them? Just take notes, I said. I'll handle the follow-up myself. Her lips pressed into a thin line. You don't trust me with updates? I trust you to listen, I replied. That's the task. She exhaled through her nose but didn't argue. At lunch, I caught them whispering near the break room. Marcus was leaning against the counter, hands moving in sharp gestures. Sienna kept glancing at my office like she expected me to storm out. I didn't. I just walked in casually. "Marcus, how's the sustainability report coming?" He straightened. "Halfway there? Good. Add a section on reusable pens." Sienna, "After your call, I'll need you to organize the storage room. Inventory every box." Her head snapped toward me. "What? The storage room?" "Yes," I said, feigning thought. "It'll help you understand our resource flow better." Marcus looked like he was holding back a laugh. Sienna's eyes went icy. By 2:30, she was in the storage room, sleeves rolled up, muttering. Under her breath, as she shifted boxes, when I walked in, clipboard in hand, she froze. "You really think this is a good use of my time?" she asked. "I do," I said. "Unless you think you're above the work." She swallowed her retort. I left her there and returned to my office, where Marcus was hunched over his desk, typing like the deadline was life or death. At 3, he brought the proposal. I skimmed it in front of him. "Interesting approach," I said. "But you forgot. To include a cost analysis, add that in. And the charts could be cleaner, use a consistent font." "That'll take hours," he said. "Then you'd better get started." He left, muttering something under his breath. 2 days of this, and they were both fraying. Marcus was juggling tiny projects that went nowhere each, one more tedious than the last. Sienna was buried in calls and organizing paperwork no one else wanted to touch. By Friday afternoon, Marcus came in with dark circles under his eyes. "Look, I get it. You're trying to test us, or whatever. But can't we work on something real?" "This is real," I said. "The company runs on details. You master the small, you earn the big." Sienna appeared in the doorway. "And when exactly will that happen? Because right now it feels like you're just what?" I asked, my voice dropping. She hesitated. "Never mind. No. Say it," I pressed. Her jaw tightened. "It feels like you're punishing us." Leaned back in my chair. "Why would I punish 2 valuable employees?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Because of the past." "The past?" I echoed, feigning innocence. "You mean when you both laughed at me? When you told people I'd never amount to anything?" Silence. I looked down. I shifted uncomfortably. "Remember every word," I said softly. "And now you work for me. Under my name. Every email you send, every task you complete, it's my approval that lets it go through." Sienna's voice was barely above a whisper. "So this is revenge. Call it whatever you want," I said. I call it management." The next week, I made sure they attended every staff meeting, but never spoke in them. Marcus sat with his hands clasped, waiting to be called on. Sienna kept her notebook open, pen ready, but I never asked for her input. After one meeting, Marcus caught me in the hall. "If you've got something to say, just say it." "I've already said it," I replied. "This is petty," he said. I smiled faintly. "Petty? No. Petty would have been firing you on the spot. This is professional development." One evening, long after most people had gone home, I found Sienna still at her desk. She didn't look up. "Why are you still here?" I asked. "Because I have 20 more client notes to process," she said flatly. "You could leave them for Monday." She finally looked at me. "Give you another reason to think I'm lazy." I held her gaze for a long moment. "I don't think you're lazy. I think you're exactly where you put yourself." Her eyes flickered with something regret. "Maybe, but..." She said nothing. Over the next month, the tension became a constant. In the office. Every time I passed them, they straightened like soldiers in inspection. Every time they handed me work, I found a flaw to correct. It wasn't about the work anymore. It was about the shift in gravity. I didn't need to raise my voice or threaten their jobs. They knew. Every assignment, every delayed promotion, every closed-door meeting without them, it was a reminder. One afternoon, as Marcus left my office, with yet another urgent task, he muttered, "You'll get tired of this eventually." I leaned back, watching him go. "Maybe," I said, "but not today." And the truth, I wasn't just doing this for revenge. It wasn't about evening the score. It was about rewriting the narrative they'd written for me years ago. Back then, I was the punchline. Now I was the one holding the pen. Marcus's resignation letter was on my desk before I even arrived. When I walked in, he was standing by the door, coat over his arm. "Leaving so soon?" I asked, hanging my jacket on the chair. His jaw tightened. "It's not working out." "What?" "Working out," I repeated, leaning back. "Meaning you can't handle the work or me." He gave a humorless laugh. "You've made your point, all right? Every critical task you gave me was a joke. And maybe the joke was on the wrong person this time," I said. He opened his mouth, shut it again, and walked out without looking back. I didn't even have time to process it before Sienna showed up 2 days later. She stood in the doorway, twisting the strap of her bag. "Are you going to make this quick?" I asked, not looking up from my screen. She hesitated. "I'm resigning." I raised my head. "Oh. Did Marcus send you as his messenger? Or is this your own decision?" "It's mine," she said quietly. This isn't what I thought it would be." I smirked. "And what did you think it would be?" "That you'd walk in here, smile, and be forgiven?" Her eyes darted to the floor. "I never asked for forgiveness." "Good," I said, "because you were never going to get it." She inhaled sharply, then placed her resignation letter on my desk. "Goodbye." "Sienna," I replied, watching her walk away. She didn't look back either. No apology, no closure. And yet I felt no emptiness. A few days later, my mother stopped by the office. She stepped into my office with that warm smile that had gotten me through the darkest years. "Busy?" she asked, glancing at the papers on my desk. "Always," I said, standing to hug her. "What brings you here?" "I was in the area," she said, brushing imaginary dust from my shoulder. "I wanted to see you in your element." I laughed. "My element, huh? You mean surrounded by deadlines and caffeine?" Her eyes softened. "I mean successful, confident, not letting anyone tell you who you are." I didn't expect the sudden lump in my throat. "You've always believed that, even when I didn't." She stepped back and looked around my office, then at me. "I'm proud of you, more than you'll ever know." I swallowed. "You don't know how much I needed to hear that." "I think I do," she said. "Now, will you show me around? I've only seen this place from the outside." I smiled and let her out. "All right, but prepare yourself. This is the part where I talk too much." As we walked through the lab, I pointed out the new equipment, the teams at work, the projects in development. "This is incredible," she said, her voice filled with awe. "You built all this with a good team," I replied. "But yes, I started it." "And those two? The ones you used to talk about?" she asked carefully. "Gone," I said simply. Her brows lifted. "And how do you feel about that?" I paused at the glass window overlooking the research floor. "Right. Like I've already won." She tilted her head. "Because they left." "Oh," I said, "because they don't matter anymore." We stood there for a moment, watching the hum of quiet productivity below. "You know," she said softly, "sometimes life doesn't give you the apology you want. Sometimes it gives you something better." I looked at her. "What's that? The proof you never needed them in the first place?" I chuckled. "That sounds like something you'd stitch on a pillow." She laughed too. "Don't tempt me." We continued the tour, ending back at my office. Before leaving, her perfume lingering in the air long after the door shut, I sat back at my desk, staring at the empty doorway. For years, I'd replayed their laughter in my head, the way it cut, the way it burned. I thought revenge would mean making them beg for my respect. But now I understood something else. I didn't need their regret. I didn't need their apology. What I needed was this office, this company, this life they thought I'd never have. And for the first time, the memory of their laughter didn't sting. It didn't haunt me. It fueled me. I leaned back in my chair, a slow smile spreading across my face. Then I laughed, quiet at first, then louder, not out of bitterness. You're not out of spite, but because I finally understood. I'd already won.